Hello, this is Avraham Shira for the Chabura and Nahar Shalom. We're continuing with Gemara Berachot. We spoke a lot about suffering yesterday, the reasons for suffering. The Gemara is going to give us some more interesting stories today, very famous stories about healing and the healing power that some of the rabbis had. And continue with also the discussion about suffering, but in another context. The context of reward. So we begin Rabbi Chia bar Abba Halash. We're on Daf Hey Amud Bet. So Rabbi Chia bar Abba was also a very big tzaddik. He was ill. And Rabbi Yochanan came to visit him, and he said to him, Havivim alecha yisurin? Are these sufferings that you're going through right now accepted? Are they even beloved to you? These Yisurim? That sounds like a very strange idea that Yisurim could be beloved, but I remember Rav Yisrael Odesser once said that if I knew how much the suffering would have brought me, I would have had more. So this is a very special people take that position. But nonetheless, he asked him if he accepted these sufferings with joy, with love. He said, no, I don't want the suffering and I don't want the reward for them. So Rabbi Yochanan answered, So Rabbi Yochanan said, give me your hand, and he gave him his hand, and he got up and was healed. He became better simply from the touch, the handshake of Rabbi Yochanan. And we're going to talk about how that works on a mystical level very shortly, because we have several more examples like this. What's that, John?
What did he have?
It doesn't tell us what illness he had, but it was an illness that was probably going to take him out of this world. And we're not talking about a little headache or something like that, but something serious. So, with that in mind, before we explain this miraculous healing that Rabbi Chia received from Rabbi Yochanan halash. Rabbi Yochanan himself became ill. And so Rabbi Hanina came in, another great rabbi, and he said, are these sufferings acceptable to you, or are you still in love with Hashem and the work that we're here to do? And I remember this is Rabbi Yochanan who asked the same question to somebody else that he healed, and now the rabbi is asked that same question. Havivin Yisurim Alecha? Do you like these Yisurim? And he says, Lo hen velo schara, and he answers the same way. No, they're not pleasant, and I'd rather not have the suffering and not have the reward. Which is kind of like a human response. When we're in the middle of pain, we'll do anything to get out of the pain, including give up great rewards, per se. Even Rabbi Yochanan, who understands the procedure, what's going on here, is not such a simple thing, obviously, because each rabbi is going to the next. Clearly, they're in a special club, shall we say. Okay.
Is it a reward or compensation or kind of both?
Well, schar means reward, but...
both maybe.
I'm not sure if that distinction...
Reward for how you're dealing with it, maybe.
Reward for how you're dealing with it?
Compensation.
Well, that's interesting.
Compensation for having it.
Right, because there is the reward of the suffering itself. The reward of the suffering is the cleansing of the soul. That we suffer, but then the soul is cleansed. And this is really what we're after. But now you're adding another point, John, which is if we add love to the equation, perhaps the reward is even greater. So that's a question we're going to leave on the table for a moment as well. But I think that we're going to come and answer it by way of another question in a moment. Amar le Rabbi Yochanan, lo hen v'lo scharan, right? He doesn't want them. Amar le havli yav, havli yav yukmei. And so the same thing happens again. Rabbi Hanina gives Rabbi Yochanan his hand, and he is healed. Baruch Hashem. So the Gemara asks, Amai Why did Rabbi Yochanan, who had just healed somebody else, Rabbi Chia, why does Rabbi Yochanan need somebody else to heal him? If he has the power to heal somebody else, you would think he has the power to heal himself. Amai lukim Rabbi Yochanan lenafshei. Why didn't Rabbi Yochanan heal himself? Amrei. So the rabbis answered, Ein adam chavush matir et atzmo bebeit asurim. That a prisoner cannot free himself from prison. So this metaphor applies to many areas in life, and here it also applies to illness. That even if you have the power to heal, if a person that has this power can still become sick and not heal himself. Just like the person in jail can't get himself out of jail, usually. Okay. And the Gemara goes on with another story. Rabbi Elazar halash al gabe Rabbi Yochanan. The same setup again. Rabbi Elazar this time was ill, and Rabbi Yochanan went to visit him, and he entered the house. And Rabbi Elazar lived in a dark house, which is usually indicative of not having any money, being poor. A dark house, not lights, low ceilings, small windows, etc. You've seen them, if you've traveled around Israel in any of the ruins, you see that the way they used to build the houses were pretty small. Okay, so Rabbi Yochanan entered this dark place. Rabbi Elazar was sick. And Rabbi Yochanan pulled back his sleeve, the sleeve of his robe, and revealed his skin, and the room was illuminated. Rabbi Yochanan's skin had the power of light, had the reality of light emanating from his skin, and he lit up the room. And the Rav uses the language that his skin was shining with beauty. It's a dark room, so obviously the skin of Rabbi Yochanan was not just any other forearm or right forearm that you reveal. Nonetheless, and then he saw the Rabbi Elazar who was sick. Hi Simcha, hi Michal. That he started crying. Now, why did he start crying?
Who was crying? The one who was sick?
Rabbi Elazar, who was sick, started crying when he saw the light from Rabbi Yochanan's arm. His arm. Remember, Rabbi Yochanan went into the dark room, lifted his sleeve back, and his forearm had light enough to light up the room. Okay.
Not his face, just the arm.
But it says here, dafka the arm, which is an interesting question you asked, John. You would think, well, if we're talking about spiritual light, we'll be talking about his face. And not, but here we see that the arm is a place that generally the Hachamim would not reveal that part of their bodies. And so it's a level of modesty here. But nonetheless, he asked him, why are you crying? Amar le amaika bachit. If it's because of Torah that you were not able to learn, but we already learned about this issue of how much Torah you learn in your life and how much reward you get for it, which people do think about, especially people that sit and learn. Right? Whether a person learns a lot or a little. That is not the measure. Quantity. Hashem is not measuring our quantity of learning. Rather, bilvad, rather, of course, the measure that Hashem uses to judge our learning is how much our heart is with the will of heaven. How much am I in what I'm doing? How much am I loving what I'm doing? And not how much I learn, but the quality of that learning. So that's a really important thing to remember, because not all of us have the ability to learn a lot, and all of us, though, have the ability to give our heart to Hashem at a certain level. Maybe Pharaoh didn't, Hashem hardened his heart, so Pharaoh was out of luck. But I don't think Pharaoh was worried about his learning L'Shem Shemayim. Nonetheless, Ve'i Mishum Mizoneh, and if Rabbi Yochanan is asking Rabbi Elazar, who's crying on his sick bed, and he says to him, well, if it's because you don't have a lot of money, and therefore you and your family are, living on the kav of poverty. Lo kol adam zocheh l'shtei shulchanot. Not everybody merits to be wealthy and wise. Right? Shtei shulchanot here means one table for the person who sits and does business, and that's not the same table for a person who sits and learns Torah. And usually we see throughout history, Arbe asuka Rabbi Shimon velo alta beyadam. Many people tried to learn Torah in poverty and they were not able to. It was too hard. And many tried to learn Torah like Rabbi Elazar, which was to work and learn, and kain alta beyadam, that they were able to work and learn, which is really the preferred advice for most people. There are certain gifted people who clearly their ability to learn and remember and give over and explain what they learn makes them stand out. And such a person, it might be that his mission is to only learn and be, and suffer the consequences of not having a job and not making a normal living.
You could teach with it, though.
He could teach with it, right? But like the cover of Time magazine this week is a school teacher that she says she's been teaching 20 years and she can't fix her car, she can't, take care of basics. And so we know that teachers are classically underpaid throughout history. And there's a reason for that, I believe. I believe it's because God wants it that way. Because if teachers were all well paid, then all the stockbrokers would want to be teachers. I don't know about that, but I know that the fact that teachers don't get paid a lot make a teacher be more idealistic. And I think that we need idealistic teachers for our kids, because everybody picks up enough non-idealistic teachings out in the world, in the streets. You get plenty of that. But you need a teacher that gives you some idealism in life to go forward with a higher vision of what we're here to do. So I think that kind of takes away people wanting to be teachers, because that high idealism is difficult because you have to pay for it. Okay. So v'im mishum banai, and if you're crying because of your children that died before you, which is an issue we had yesterday, v'dim garmed asir abir. Then Rabbi Yochanan showed him that little bone that was on a necklace around his neck that signified the death of his 10th child. That clearly that there was a real issue here with Rabbi Yochanan and keeping children. And we know back in the day, that if I'm not mistaken, you guys correct me, maybe some of you have heard about back in the ancient times, there was about a 50% infant mortality rate. That not like maybe only half the children made it through infancy because of conditions, and obviously
pneumonia, they died.
They got pneumonia and died. Yeah,
That's just the classic.
The classic, they would get pneumonia, especially in the cold countries. They're born in the winter.
I don't know how many times my kids had to have antibiotics in the winter.
Really?
If they didn't, if there was no antibiotics.
Right. I hear you. Lo aleinu. So we know that modern science has elevated the mortality rate a great deal. But we're still after the question why Rabbi Yochanan's crying here after he's seen this illuminating arm of why Rabbi Elazar's crying, because he's seen the arm of Rabbi Yochanan. Amarle. So Rabbi Elazar said to him, "Lahai shufra davale ba'afraka b'china." No, see, Rabbi Yochanan was really a student in relationship to Rabbi Elazar, and Rabbi Elazar was weeping. He says because he saw the beautiful light on Rabbi Yochanan's arm, and he saw that this same person was going to one day die and be absorbed into the earth. In other words, that such beauty would leave the world. And that's why he says he was crying. Amar so Rabbi Yochanan answered, Al davadai da bachid. He said, certainly I can understand that you're crying about that. Ubachu travaihu. And they both wept. Because, you see, one was thinking of the other's death and the loss of that beauty, which we've had before, when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai students would weep after Rabbi Shimon would give a drasha. Because they knew that one day Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai would be gone, and so would Rabbi Yochanan, and so would Rabbi Eliezer. And when we lose these great people, there's a light is diminished in the world. Okay. Adachi Bahachi Amar Le. So he says, Havivim Alecha Yisurin. Back to our main question. Are your sufferings beloved? Can you accept them with love? And he answers, Amar Le Lohe Velo Schara. And he answers the same way as everybody else. I don't rather have no sufferings and no reward. So you see, no matter how great these people were, they had a sense of desperation here. They weren't interested in the reward. Amarle, Havli Yadah, gave Le Yadeva Ukme. And he said, give me your hand. And he gave him his hand, and he got up, and he was better. So Rabbi Yochanan healed Rabbi Elazar also. Now, there's a lot of questions that we could ask about this sugya.
What was it with his hand?
What was it with Rabbi Yochanan's hand?
His arm.
With his arm, right. Well, one answer,
I guess both, yeah.
one answer, of course, is we know that the Torah, when it was revealed at Mount Sinai, everybody got healed, whatever they had. The revelation was so great of Hashem's light that automatically the Torah, Hashem's revelation, healed them. A tzaddik on the Rabbi Yochanan's level is like a living Torah. And so, just like when the Torah was revealed, people were healed, so too when Rabbi Yochanan gave someone his hand, it was like he was a living Torah and he could spread the healing automatically, okay, just by touching him. Now, the interesting thing about Rabbi Yochanan's arm, why could Rabbi Yochanan's arm illuminate the room? Well, I could tell you this, that I was in the room with the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and his arm, his whole being lit up the room. It felt like static electricity in the air. There was something there.
You were in the room with the Rebbe alone?
I wasn't alone. I was passing, I was getting $1, but you felt the whole room there was completely buzzing with some kind of supernatural light. It was amazing. Now,
there's a picture in your house?
Yeah, that picture in my house, that's right.
To get $1.
Yeah, to get a blessing from the Rebbe. Now, but this principle of the light coming off the hand of the tzaddik, I mean, I looked at the Rebbe's hand and you could see through the layers of his skin. It was so refined. Now maybe that's just because he was 91 years old. But still, actually he was 92 at the time. But still, we have another idea. And this is from the Midrash. And listen closely. It says, at the end of days, the kings of the world will come to Jerusalem to see the light at night. That there'll be such a light coming out of Jerusalem in the future, when we have the third Beit HaMikdash, that there will be light at night. And I'm not talking about street lights or fireworks. Okay? So if that Midrash is true, that Jerusalem is going to give forth that kind of light, then we can understand, again, if a tzaddik contains that light himself, how he also becomes a light. That light of the Torah shines out through whatever vessel holds it. Okay, so it's a level that a person reaches in his pnimiut where he becomes such a channel for Hashem that he lights up wherever he goes. So too Jerusalem will in the future, and that's another reason why it says that in the future all of Jerusalem will be like the Beit HaMikdash, right? Because the Beit HaMikdash is the source of light, and eventually that will spread to the entire Jerusalem, and then all Jerusalem will spread its light like to Eretz Yisrael. Each level will grow to the next level that before it. Okay, so that
it's a bit like
eventually,
that now, but just on a low, sort of lowered down a bit.
I would agree with you. It's on the way. It's happening. You feel the specialness when you enter Jerusalem. You see it when you go to the Kotel. You sense it in the people. It's around. There's something going on over here. So
when you get out to the country, when I was at your place, I felt it. This is like a big metropolis.
Right.
I went to the Kotel like 2 weeks ago after a long time not going. There's definite energy there, but there's so much congestion. Like Manhattan, it's hard to focus. You get out in the country, maybe you guys take it for granted.
No, I think
serenity is good out there.
Well, wow, Mordechai's been working out with the Navy SEALs, I see.
There's a certain serenity out there.
Right. Well, there's another statement Rabbi Nachman says, hey, Tzvi, that when a person goes out into the forest alone and talks to Hashem with his own words, he gets a taste of the Garden of Eden. A taste, a tiny spark of that light So again, we're talking about the same basic principle. It's when the inner light becomes externalized. It's when the inner person is revealed externally. So this is all of our works here to get to realize that we have this power, this light inside us, and everything that we do is bringing out tiny little bit at a time. And God willing, till we reach this level of Rabbi Yochanan, where he could go around and touch people and heal them, and Rabbi Eliezer would recognize that light as a spiritual thing. Okay. Mordechai, welcome. Is this really coming down out there, huh?
It is. It's right.
Wow.
It's a bracha.
Okay. Gishmei bracha, the rain of blessing is upon us. Rav Huna takif ule arba me'adanei hamra. So we have a new story. Rav Huna had a cellar full of wine that turned to vinegar. Okay, this is a substantial loss. Al Gabe Rav Yehuda Achua the Rab Salah Hasida. And so this gentleman, Rav Yehuda, who was the brother of Rav Salah Hasida, these names are beautiful names, right? He came in to visit him, and also came in the Rabbanan, V'amrule, and they said to him, Rav Adabara Ahava V'Rabbanan Amrule La'ayin Mar Metile Memile. He says, what we learned earlier in this sugya yesterday, that a person, if he has suffering, he should first check his deeds and see that he has done tshuva on everything that he needs to do tshuva on. And so they're giving him the same punishment because they're assuming, remember, that all these 400 barrels of wine is a lot of wine. That's like a yearly, that's like a company's production for a year. And to lose it all to vinegar, how much salad dressing can you make? So they're assuming that some kind of sin happened to cause him to miss to lose that profit in his margin. Okay? Amar lehu mi chashivna be'enaychu. And he answers him like very confidently, why are you suspecting that I've done something wrong? Who are you guys? So even these great rabbis, they didn't, even these great rabbis, it wasn't considered pleasant behavior to say, what'd you do wrong, Tzvi? That's not the way we talk, right? So he called him on it. Amaru, Hashidim b'benaychu, Amrulay, they answered me, Hachshid kuchaberichu da'avid dina below dina. Well, they answered him with even a more harif rhetorical question. Well, who is suspecting God that God did judgment without fairness? Because if you don't think that God is fair by ruining your 400 barrels of wine, then maybe you have a problem with the way you perceive divine justice. Is God a fair judge or not? We answered him, if any of you have heard that I've done something wrong, tell me now. It's like a regular day in court over here. So they said to him, well, we have heard something. That you did not give away. He himself, this rabbi, was an aris. An aris is what we would call in modern terms a sharecropper, or not exactly a sharecropper. It's where you rent the field and you pay your rent for the field by giving the owner of the field a portion of your crop. So there's a name for that in English, no, guys?
Sharecropper.
Something like that, a sharecropper. But sharecroppers, I'm not sure they get paid in cash or get paid in peanuts or tobacco or whatever they're picking. But here, this type of sharecropper, you're in charge of everything. You have to plow and plant and water and prune and harvest, etc. You have to do everything, and the owner of the field gets a selection. So this gentleman did not give the owner of the field his portion. Now that makes a little more sense. That if he withheld his payment, that might cause his wine to go off. Now we know that wine is considered a very sensitive substance. Anybody who's made wine has learned about it, knows that all kinds of things can affect wine, even noise. Even the noise in the room where the wine is fermenting can affect it. Plus, of course, moving it around, shaking it up, temperature conditions, etc., etc. So wine is a sensitive product, but nonetheless, we see here that the Rav had not paid his rent.
Is that Rav Huna?
That would be Rav Huna, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Right. And Rav Huna is a big guy.
Yes, he is.
So let's see if there's a reason. What happened? Amarlus, he said, Mika shavik limide mine.
The rest of the story.
So he answered him, he didn't leave me any of the karam left. Haka ganivle kule. He's now accusing the owner of the field of stealing from him, from the grapes of the vineyard. Okay, so now we can understand maybe why he withheld his portion. Let's see. You know, it's not pleasant, but and because he stole from me, I kept all that was left for myself, and I didn't give him his portion. Amrule, well then the rabbis answered him, Hayinu da amre imche. This is what people say. Vatar ganava gano v'tamam ta'im. Oh, this is an interesting phrase. Someone who steals from a thief, he too tastes the taste of theft. In other words, even though you're Robin Hood and you go out and steal from the thieves, you're still tasting part of the theft. You might think it's righteous and you're going to steal from the rich and give to the poor, like that famous legend. But really, we see here that even if a person does take upon himself this mission, he's going to have a little bit of taste of thievery attached to him.
Wait a second. So the landlord, the guy who owns the field, was stealing
from
him.
Rav Huna.
So Rav Huna didn't pay him.
That's right.
That was
called stealing from their original agreement, which is really still hard to see. And the rabbis answer, even though this is exactly what you're saying, Mordechai, that even though the landlord, the field owner, did steal from you, you are still chayav to give him your portion that you promised to give him. So one bad deed does not justify another.
We used to say 2 wrongs don't make a right.
2 wrongs don't make a right.
3 of them do.
3?
That was our answer.
Except he didn't think it was a wrong, though. Maybe it wasn't a wrong.
Well,
I guess maybe it was.
He's telling him that it's a wrong, and then he acted from a place that was beneath him, shall we say.
Yeah.
I've seen in English leases something written like, if the landlord doesn't fulfil his obligations, you can't automatically take something, withhold something from the rent payment. You've still got to pay You still got to pay the full rent and then sort out the other things separately.
Really. It's like you're taking justice in your own hands.
Right. That's exactly what the note says here below. That you cannot take justice into your own hands, even if you feel you've been wronged.
Go to the Beis Din and let them sort it out.
Right, you have to go to the Beis Din. You can't just go, oh, you took my car, I'll take your car. Or food or whatever it is.
And how do you know about the amounts, the precise amounts? How much do they take?
Steve, what do you say? Oh, well, now you're coming around, I see. Okay, yeah, well, let's do that. We'll trade cars. Anyways. Right. Toy cars. I have a big dinky car, right? Right. One time, guy pulled up next to me at the gas station, a brand new, beautiful SUV or something, and he looked at me and looked at my car, which is a beat-up Chevy van. He looked at me and he looked down, he looked up, he looked down. I'm wearing a 3-piece suit and I'm driving a bumps car. And I said, "You want to trade?" Anyways, it's okay. I'm happy with our car because every time it gets a new dent, I don't feel a thing.
That's great about having old cars.
And if you have a new car, every little touch bothers you.
You're right.
You know, who needs that? That's what it says in Pirkei Avot. Marbei nechasim, marbei da'aga. If you have beautiful, expensive things, then you have a more increased worry about those things. But, you know, a few dents and things in a 22-year-old van, we'll get over it. Anyway, so, but it's. I think it's fascinating just to see how the rabbis are dealing with it because this guy is clearly a learned person, Rav Huna. He's a tremendous tzaddik. And yet you see that they also are touched by realities that we're all touched by, the feeling that you've been stolen from and you want to get revenge. But really, the higher road is to say, no, I'm not going to go to that level. And that's a hard level. Tanya, we have a bright Abba Binyamin Omer. Abba Binyamin said, Al shnei dvarim haiti mitzta'er kol yemei chayai. On two things I was disappointed my entire life. What are they? Al tfilati shiteh lefnei mitati v'al mitati shiteh netuna ben tzafon ledarom. He said on two interesting things that you wouldn't think would cause you a lifetime of suffering, but he said they did. One was the idea of praying before one goes to bed. That he wanted to pray before going to bed, which of course we have the Kriyat Shema Alamita. And then the second one was that my bed was not set in the room with the head and the feet of the bed between the north and the south. Okay, that there is a concept of direction in Torah and in Kabbalah, and the direction is not just a way of pointing into space. We have to understand, according to the Kabbalah, a direction is an energy field, and it is different in each direction. The north and south are two different things. They're two opposites. North is the power of Gevurah, of strength, and south is the power of kindness and mercy, and they're opposing directions. And so too, east and west. East is the power of truth, and west is the power of kingship. And they are oftentimes opposed to each other too. So we're supposed to put our beds between north and south and not east and west. Why? So the notes teach us because we say that the Shekhinah dwells in the west or the east, which is in Kabbalah, the tree of life. That's the middle column between Tiferet, the heart, and Malchut, the feet, the hands, and the brit. Okay, meaning what? That we live in a universe where the way you face releases direction. When you are living in China, you're facing west when you pray to Jerusalem. And when you live in Tel Aviv, you face east when you face Jerusalem. There's a big difference between facing east and facing west. And so too, it says, someone who wants to gain wisdom, he should face the south. That means if you're learning Torah, and you have a choice of any direction to put your chair facing south. And it also says, the one who wants to become wealthy, he should face north, because riches are associated with the north.
Showbread was there.
And just as a proof of this, folks, if you notice, I did a little informal survey with a map of all the cities that I've visited in the world. A majority have the wealthy sections in the north part of town, uptown, and the lesser wealthy, poor parts of town are oftentimes to the south side of Chicago, the southwest LA, south Boston. You keep looking, you'll see it's true. And the north side of Chicago is the North Shore where wealthy people live, and uptown Manhattan is the north side of Manhattan is where the wealthy. What's going on? Is it all just random? Well, according to the Kabbalah, it's not, because we are directionally based individuals, and when we face the Mikdash, wherever we are, also in Leeds, the north side of Leeds people have money, and the south side, okay, so something's going on.
Southeast Washington, D.C. Well, in Manchester, I'm not gentrified now.
Southeast Washington, gentrification, all things being equal, yes.
Why does the South give wisdom?
Why does the South give wisdom? Good question. Because the South,
maybe that's not the reason.
Wisdom was connected to Chesed, is the idea of that wisdom is the sphera above chesed. On the tree of life, we have 3 vertical columns. So that chokhmah, your right brain, is feeding directly into your right arm. In other words, the energy has direct access to chesed. That when you do kindness, you actually gain wisdom. You gain the wisdom of kindness. That that it's not just here's some tzedakah and I feel better now, I'm a good guy. No, you actually receive insight into the person you're giving to and into yourself. And you gain insight into other things in the world by giving. So this is something that happens in the same thing, the north, when you face to the north, and Gevurah, the pasuk says, mitzafon tipatach hara, that the evil will come from the north, meaning invasion into Eretz Yisrael will often come from the north, which it has, either through Syria, or through Lebanon, or through the ocean, just from the north. Although, right, we have the north of us, we have Turkey, we have all kinds of enemies coming down the pipe from the north. It's not that we don't have enemies to the south either. But the north also, if you keep going, north from Israel, where do you end up? Russia. And if you keep going north from there, where do you end up? Well, the North Pole and then America. Anyways, so this idea of the directional release of energy is a very deep thing, and it's something that you have to have quite a bit of sensitivity to experience, but it's there.
Well, the guy was saying that his bed was going the wrong way.
Yeah.
I thought that the bed going the right way, the wrong way, had to do with the base of Migdash.
I've heard that shot, Mordechai. There's a lot of different opinions here.
I know.
And those other opinions do appear in the commentaries. That has to do with the Beit HaMikdash. There's another opinion here that Rabbi Binyamin was saying, I was sorry because my prayer was, the law about the location of the bed has to do with when you're doing the mitzvah with your wife. Okay? That they're being more specific than just sleeping. The Mishnah Berurah and others pasak that it's still, you should, even if you're not doing the mitzvah with your wife, that you still should be sleeping with the head to the north or south and not to the east or west. This touches on another whole series of subjects about the idea of the presence of the Shekhinah in our lives. Like when you go to the hospital, you're not supposed to stand above the sick person because the Shekhinah is resting on their head, and it's not considered honorable to stand above the Shekhinah. And these kinds of esoteric laws, you know, there is a consistency in them if you pay attention to the details.
Relevant to this is the placement of the showbread and the menorah.
The showbread of the menorah, exactly. Explain. In the Beit HaMikdash.
The menorah, if you wanted wisdom, you prayed towards the menorah, which was on the
south.
And the showbread, well, you pray towards
the north, which is the bread. So look in the Beit HaMikdash. The bread, which is obviously is a metaphor for money, is on the north, the side of wealth. And the light, the menorah, which is giving off candlelight, is on the south, which is light is a metaphor for wisdom. So you see light is a metaphor for wisdom, turn south. Bread is a metaphor for money, turn north. That's the way it's set up in the Mikdash as well. And incense, of course, is right in the middle, which is our of course, in the human body is the nose and the heart and the lungs. And that's in the middle between the two, which is a union of the two, actually. How we doing? I think we're going to have to stop. So anyways, Rabbi Binyamin was disappointed in not having copied or lived by these practices. And he goes on to say, Al tefilati shetiyet lefanai mitati, that my prayer should be before my bed. What does it mean, before my bread? He's talking about really that he should have been praying next to his bed. Rabbi Yeshua and these other rabbis say, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, well, we know if Rabbi Binyamin is saying that he really wanted to pray next to his bed, they bring another teaching that a person should pray next to the wall and not have other things in between him. In other words, things that distract him. Shneimar, v'yisev Hiskiyahu panav el akir v'yitpalel. That we know the story of Hiskiyahu HaMelech when he had the death decree upon him from the prophet, that he turned to the wall and prayed, and he was answered and granted, I believe, 18 more years of life. We shouldn't say that Rabbi Binyamin wasn't careful about his prayer before the bed. Ela, ema, rather we were going to say samuch lemitati. Rather, that the idea is that that the first thing he did when he got up in the morning from his bed was pray, and the last thing he did when he went to bed at night was pray. And apparently Rabbi Binyamin could have felt bad because maybe in the morning he got up a few times and did a few things around the house before he's prayed. So this is a challenge for everybody. You get up in the morning, do I pray first or do I turn on my phone? Or do I get the heater going and get the coffee pot going? So this is a challenge too, but that's the idea, I think, of putting my prayer next to the bed. There's another interesting insight that we can take from this, is that we should pray before we do the mitzvah. Rabbi Nachman talks about this as well, very important, that before a person does the great mitzvah of being with his wife, that he should pray first, and this will bring blessing down to the event in many different ways. And it's something that a person has to check for himself, but I'm certain that it's true. Okay, we're going to jump to halacha here with the Arizal and Rabbi Chaim Vital. And we're learning the laws of Chatzot Laila, getting up at night and praying.
Crying for your sins over the day.
And he goes, we learned about crying for our sins during the day. But if a person doesn't have this ability to get up in the middle of the night and daven and stay awake, he should still get up in the middle of the night and cry for the Beit HaMikdash. And he can learn Torah another time, another hour, and have intention, and he have intention to the kavanot that we've already learned, and then it's fine, go back to sleep. But still, a person should get up for the morning davening. So the whole point here, what is it, all this precision about our timings in the middle of the night? It has to do with the shifts in the cosmic atmosphere, and that when we're doing something, we want to be attached to those shifts. Okay, the shift in the cosmic atmosphere before Chatzot and after Chatzot, and before Leah goes up or goes down, or Rachel, the two symbols of the Shekhinah that are attached to the idea of Tiferet and Malchut in the tree of life. When a person gets up in the morning, and then the Shekhinah goes back up to the higher realm, Kanoda. So we've been really mapping out how the Shekhinah comes down to this world at Chatzot to watch, to be part of the prayers of men. And then after, in the morning hours, when the sun comes up, so too the Shekhinah goes back up to her celestial palace in Atzilut, which is much higher than this world. So this is the Sod B'nei Heichal Matronita, and this is the secret of what it means to be a son of the palace of the king, that he is awake and alive and busy with the right things at the right time to attach to the energy being released in the world at that time. So it's like on Pesach, it's not the time to keep Purim, and on Purim it's not the time to keep Pesach, etc., etc. As we know, that each time in the Jewish calendar has a certain release of very specific energy. Okay. And this Tefilat Shachar, and the time of the rising of the sun, this is the Sod Ayira Shachar. This is what David HaMelech, when he said, I will awaken the dawn. Ani Morer the Shachar. So usually we how do we translate that pasuk? I will awaken the dawn. Mordechai.
I'll get up before dawn.
That's right. That's how you always think. I'll get up before dawn. But he's saying an even greater thing, that the prayer that you're bringing before the dawn is actually bringing on the dawn. It's like an escort, if you will. Because we should be awake at that time. And that's because of another unification that's taking place then. Which is being done then. And this is the secret of the verse from Tehillim also, right? The song for the rising of the dawn, Keniskar bezohar, as the Zohar brings down, Havein et zeh etev, and understand this well. So even if we can't stay awake all night, we can get up a little bit and do what we can, and we have intention at these things. We understand the process. It certainly invests it with much more meaning. We understand the changes in the light of the spiritual realm affecting and interacting with this physical realm. Okay, we got a few more minutes. Let's keep moving here. We'll go to some Chassidus from Rabbi Nachman and carry on tomorrow with the halacha. Yeah. We are still in Torah Hay, and we are looking at the power of faith to heal us and the fall of faith that brings on illness, how fall of faith throws off the balance of a person's spiritual and physical climate, if you will. And we've learned that the giving of charity is going to fix these places in the fall of faith, because the act of charity is an act of faith, because you're just giving away your money, and who says you're going to get it back? Well, we're told and promised by the Torah and the sages that when we give, we receive even more.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. Someone told me that.
Right.
Amazing story, thank God. Maybe I told you.
Yeah, you want to tell us the story, John? What was it?
It goes on a bit. It's a bit too.
A bit too long for now. Okay.
It's well worth telling, but it's not now.
Okay.
I think because of the.
Now, v'zeh she'amru Razal, zichron levracha, mai tama azeh maskan bereish v'adar emrei kivriyato shel olam. So he brings a pasuk, v'hadar nehora. He brings a pasuk. What is the reason that the izeh maskan bereisha v'hadar imre kivriyato shel olam? That first we have the goat, so to maskan. I'm coming up short here. Right, it's a metaphor again for the idea of that. Why is the light come after the darkness, and so too why does that the person is? I'm going to translate this, and I hope I'm not wrong, but it's why does the head come out first and then the person talks? Or why is there, in other words, birth before speech? It kind of makes sense, but he's comparing the idea of speech and silence with birth and the Briat Olam. Aziz b'chinat emunah, and he says, Izeh, this idea of the goats that are born, all right, and then they make noise. B'chinat emunah, the idea of speech, faith. B'chinat lavesh Hashem oz itazar, that Hashem enclosed himself with power and was crowned or glorified, B'chinat v'ayat tzedek ezor moktanav, which is another aspect of the verse. And righteousness, he was girdled in righteousness, right? This whole idea of ezor moktanav is basically a warrior's girdle that they used to wear in battle that would cover their midsection. V'emuna ezor, how do we see that emuna is his girdle? In other words, and so we're using metaphor now as this metaphor for power, a protection, Adar Imre. And he says, Adar Imre, his speech comes back. He says here, Imre is also Refuah, that when the Emunah comes back, the Refuah comes back. The healing comes back with the Emunah. V'chinat Amar Hashem Refuativ. As it says, God said, and there was his healing. So there's an order here. We lose faith, we gain illness, God forbid, and then we get faith back, and then healing comes. So what's the main healing? Is to recognize that it's Hashem, that he's the one who sent us the illness because of my fallen faith, and then when my faith is greater, when I simply say that it's from him, that automatically fixes it. You see, so if you get upset by something in your life, and all you have to do is say it's from Hashem. It's from Hashem. Now that's like a religious formula, if you will. People use it all the time. And sometimes they use it insincerely, and sometimes they don't. But I think for us that are trying to learn about these things, we shouldn't take it as a small thing. We shouldn't treat it as a small thing that a person will get healed simply by identifying that it's from Hashem. But I've seen it happen so many times that eventually it starts to sink in that really all we have to do is re-identify the source of our experience with Hashem, and good things happen after. Okay. Carrying on.
When nothing bad does happen, you think, oh, this is also from Hashem.
When nothing bad happens, it's also from Hashem. That's true.
Rather than just wait, something bad happens, and okay, now I'm suffering. Well, when everything is nice and steady, we should realise the myriad of things that could happen but don't.
That's right. Well, nice and steady is the blessing.
Realise the blessing.
That is the
blessing. Thank God this didn't happen, thank God that didn't happen.
Right. That it didn't happen. And this is interesting because people that claim that life is boring, they haven't learned to value peace yet. Boredom usually comes from not being attached to my purpose. I'm not excited and attached to my purpose, and I'm not motivated by anything in particular. But on the other side of boredom is simply, well, things are just at peace. Isn't that good? Isn't that nice that I'm actually getting along with my kids and I'm getting along with my boss? And isn't that a chance also for blessing? It is, but sometimes we take it for granted. This is what he said, Eish Mayim Ruach. The word Amar, the word for speech, is the first letters of the three words Eish Mayim Ruach. Fire, water, earth, wind. Shemisham Arufua, because there the healing is coming from the Amar, from the speech. That is why is the essential healing coming from faith. Yeah, John?
Aleph is also Adamah.
Adamah also. Eretz, very good. So
both.
And so he asked this question that we've asked many times: Ma ikaru fu al yidei emunah? Why is the essential healing coming from faith? Ki tzarich lakdim emunah betchila, because we have to have faith first, not after the fact. And if we have faith, then the healing will come, because we said before that emunah is the time release program of all the universe. And then when we have faith, rain comes. When we have faith, good things happen. Think good and it'll be good. And on all the positive thinking in the whole New Age movement is based on the Baal Shem Tov. How's it go? Trach Tov, sein good. Right, thinking good creates goodness. And then we get healing. And he answers like the creation of the world. Right, because we knew, because in the beginning there was darkness and then there was light. Watch out, Mordechai, maybe come this way a little bit. Okay. So we're following this pattern of darkness, then light, the fall of Amunah, the return of Amunah, the illness, the healing. This pattern is being repeated over and over. Okay, we're going to call it a day here, folks. It's nice to be here with all of you, and we will continue, God willing, tomorrow. All the best.